What's that?
They're not.
Not today. You're on your own today.
Did you feel, obviously you guys don't have a few players here you expect to eventually. How impacted do you feel like this early portion of the calendar is for you because of that?
We're good. I mean, we had a great meeting last night, good film session this morning, and a really good practice. And such a long season. You know, I'm not overly concerned about some absences right now.
Kuminga's the situation obviously that is unresolved though. How do you view that, and what's your belief it can get solved in a kind of clean way?
Yeah, I've been talking to Mike, to get updates, and he feels pretty good that we should get this resolved in the next couple of days. So that's the hope, and we'll see where it goes.
Your name has been brought up by the agent.
Your
name has been brought up, yeah. Things you've said just about his fit with Jimmy and Draymond, I guess. How do you like that? Have your name, things you've said being brought up in a negotiation publicly involving maybe how you feel about a player? Has this been fun for you? Has this anything that you've disliked about the way this has been handled?
It's just this is the business we're in. I mean, I never begrudge any player for trying to get the best contract that he can. I mean, in fact, having been a player, I always feel like it's part of my job to help our guys do the best they can, come contract wise, and help them become the best players that they can be, put themselves in the best position to have a great career, to sign a good contract, take care of their families. These are short careers, and so I want all our players to do well. How it gets there sometimes can be messy. I'm not worried about any of that.
Steph was very clear, like it's different from what's the negotiation and the player and the person. How easy is that, you think? You guys have been through a lot of things over the last few years, off the court stuff or just things about that. How easy is it to say, this is happening over there, and once he's here, that's all gone?
Yeah, we've been through a lot bigger deals than this. I don't think this is that big of a deal. This is business. This is contract disputes happen all the time in sports. So. Again, I'm not concerned. We expect this to get resolved soon, and once it is, I'd be more comfortable talking, about the basketball end of things and all of that. I'm not going to really say much more than I've just said, because otherwise we're kind of spinning our wheels here. So as soon as we get all the unsigned guys in our building, then I'm happy to talk about all of them.
Steve.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing?
Good.
Have you talked to Jonathan much throughout this process over the last couple months?
Again, I'm going to wait till he's signed, and then you can ask me same question in a couple days.
Then I'll just follow up with this, and maybe you can give me the same response. But you watching all this, and you've lived it with him obviously these last few years. From your perspective, do you think he wants to be here moving forward?
Okay, again, I'm gonna talk about him after he's signed. We'll have those discussions. So, thank you. Anyone want to talk about basketball?
How you doing, Steve? Good to see you.
You too.
Were there any particular focuses in practice today, and what are some, baselines that you want to establish at this juncture of camp?
Yeah, training camp is always about establishing, what you're trying to accomplish. Any changes that are being made strategically, you're putting that stuff in right away. This is really the only time of year where we get a couple of weeks straight of practice time. As soon as the season starts, you guys know this, there's a game every other day. So it's really important to implement the things that we're working on, that we're changing up. Our coaches, we divvied up a lot of projects over the summer to think about ways we can improve, gain an edge here and there, and we have a few things we're doing differently. Nothing I'm going to talk in detail about, but those are the things we're focused on here in camp.
Yeah, some of the players talked yesterday about drawing confidence from the last 31 games, of course, how the team performed when everybody was healthy. Just what do you take away from the end of last season, and then how does having Jimmy here to start camp, I guess, kind of impact where you guys are able to build from?
Well, everything changed as soon as we got Jimmy, for obvious reasons. He's one of the best players in the game. There was hardly transition or an adjustment period at all. We were good instantly when we got him, and we didn't feel like we did a whole lot differently. But our defense went from like 17th to 7th or something like that. I think once we got Jimmy from that point on through the rest of the season, we were second defensively. We didn't change our scheme. We didn't change our coverage. But that's the kind of impact he makes because he never turns it over. He gets fouled all the time. So you're constantly playing defense in the half court, and you're not giving up transition stuff. Everything changed once we got him because of his unique ability to control games. So now to have him full time, it's not like we're all of a sudden putting in all these plays, and we're not, it's not like, okay, we have a full season, so we're going to run this set and that set. You don't really need to run sets with Jimmy. He's an ISO player, one of the best in the league at creating shots for himself or others. But it's nice to have him for the full camp, for the continuity, the chemistry that he's building with his teammates.
Last year's camp, there was like a pretty clear shooting guard competition and a center competition. How do you view that aspect of this camp? Like, is there, starting jobs to be won? And I know a few of the players that you can only theoretically discuss at this point are probably part of it. But,
right.
But how do you view, I guess, the two starting jobs that aren't, your main three guys?
Yeah, I think the way I'm looking at it is, we kind of know the guys who are going to start for sure. You guys know who those guys are. And then we have to build around that. Do we want to start big, have a traditional five, or do we want to start like we did last year, Draymond at the five, Moses and BP in the backcourt? That was a really successful lineup. So we could start that way if we wanted, and still not have to play Draymond heavy minutes at the five. So it all depends on what the rotation pattern would look like. But that's kind of the key spot, right? Are we starting Draymond at the 4 or the 5, and then there's a domino effect from there.
Steve, to kind of piggyback on that, you had to use 38 starting lineups last year. How much do you want to have one set lineup, or is it more based on
How many was it?
38 last year. I'm going to assume that you might want to bring that number a little bit down. Do you want to have more of a set starting lineup throughout the season?
No, I'm shooting for 39.
There we go.
Yeah, I take great pride in, just changing everybody's role every single night. So it would be great to have one lineup and stick with it. But that doesn't happen often, but it would be great to stay more consistent than we were able to last year.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jamie. Oh.
How are you doing?
Hi, Ron.
Yesterday, we asked a couple players, obviously, about having, like, as you were just asked, about having Jimmy from the start. And Draymond made a comment about it allows you to build your identity right off the bat. Because last year, you were doing whatever you could to make it work because it was on the fly. How do you see the identity of this team? Is it going to be very similar to what it was those last 30 games? Or do you see somewhat of a new identity having everybody here from the start?
Somewhere in between. I think we were able to establish that we were pretty good, once we got Jimmy. I think 26-8, if I'm not mistaken, after he came to us. But we're going to be a little different, right? We're going to make some additions to our roster. I think we'll be able to have better spacing than we've had 1 through 5 since I've been here. This is my 12th year. I don't remember ever having this kind of spacing, and so that alone changes some things we do offensively. We're still going to be the Warriors, the ball movement, the flow, but it'll be nice in some ways to be able to stretch the floor a little bit. We're going to miss Loon and his screening and his rebounding and everything he did for us, his leadership. But it'll be a different look a little bit different look now at the 5, and so it changes the way we approach things a little bit.
Steve, yesterday we heard from a lot of guys about this mini camp, so to speak, or this time with Jimmy at his home in San Diego. And what do you think of that? I mean, it sounds like it was a lot of fun, but also what can that do for a group, you know, before training camp?
Yeah, it's good bonding. You know, most teams are doing similar stuff these days. Players only, you know, a little bonding, pickup ball, getting ready for the year. It's great for those guys to be on their own without the coaches, and sets up well for camp. And just talking to a few of the guys, they had a blast. They loved it, and yeah, I'm excited. We got a good group. There's a great connection, great energy about us in practice today, and I'm really feeling good and ready to roll with these guys.
And what will it mean to you to have Nick on the bench with you after he paid his dues in Santa Cruz, and just to be an assistant coach under you now?
Yeah, I don't care about Nick. I care about his daughters. So
yeah.
having them in town is the main thing for me.
Okay, but will that be pretty special?
I'm kidding, obviously.
He's earned he's worked his way up.
He has, and he was here in our video room 5 years ago. He spent the last 4 in Santa Cruz, but he was here with us in the video room for a year. So it's not the first time we will have coached together, but it's pretty special to work with your son, and really proud of him. He did a great job in Santa Cruz, and has a good way about him, and he'll be a great addition for our staff.
I don't know if this might have been one of those off-season projects for the coaches, but with such a veteran team, how much of an emphasis do you anticipate putting on managing like minutes, especially for Steph, Draymond, some of those other guys who might be coming in?
Yeah, that's always a factor with an older group. You know, especially in today's game, the pace, the mileage that these guys are putting on their bodies with the three-point spacing. That's why we have a whole performance team to track that and to help us kind of monitor minutes. And you know, guys are going to be needing to take games off. Older guys tend to get banged up a little bit more. So we have to be able to win games without some of our key guys this year, and that's already been something that we discussed as a team. I feel really confident with the young guys that we have that they can step up and fill shoes when those shoes are empty.
Steve, last year you talked a lot about how Brandon played very well off ball, off of Jimmy and Steph. This year, are you looking for him maybe to play a little bit more on ball? Like you said, you need some of the young guys to step up at times. What do you see from Brandon this year? Well,
this is year 3. I thought he took a big leap last year. The second half of the season, played really well. The playoff experience was perfect for him. You know, just to have to feel failure and respond, which he really did. I think this is a year where he takes another step, you know, to be able to get through that crucible where, you know, you're in the starting lineup, you're in the playoffs, spotlight's on you, you have a few bad shooting nights. Every player goes through that, and he's a tough guy and tough player. And so I just think that he's on a very natural progression to continue his improvement. And whatever that looks like, he's a versatile player. You know, I'm very confident in whatever he's going to do.
What would a next step look like for him?
I think more consistency, you know, just being aggressive, shooting the ball. Honestly, you'll laugh, but leaving the refs alone. I mean, that's important. It's important to his energy, his mindset. It's important for our team's mindset. You know, taking that next step in terms of just being more even-keeled. One of the hardest lessons I ever learned as a player is when you have that bad night, you have to move on quickly, and you can't let it get to you. You can't carry it over into the next day's practice. And if you're a competitor, that can be really hard. BP's a big-time competitor. He cares. So I want to help him move forward after those inevitable tough nights.
Steve, you over here.
Hi, Monty.
How you doing?
most of the skepticism around your team's chances to win a championship centers around the age, of course, because no team with such an experienced core has done it. What are the things that tell you that this group can do it? What are the factors that tell you that these guys can go all the way?
I think the biggest thing is we have two of the best players in the league in Steph and Jimmy, and we have, I think, the best defensive player in the league in Draymond. Talent wins in this game. We have a bunch of guys who have won at a really high level, and we have a group of young guys who I really like, who have developed and worked and are ready to contribute, even contributed last year, but even more so now. So I just like the mix, and we know the West is just loaded. Every night's going to be tough, but when you have those three guys at the top leading your group, you feel good as a coach.
When you look at, going back now, when you look at the last 2 months of last season when you guys were playing basically playoff-type basketball to get where you wanted to go, are you able to sort of understand how much that might have affected the postseason?
In terms of
in terms of just guys, maybe running out of gas a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to shape the narrative however we want. Maybe we were so sharp that we upset Houston in the first round because every game meant something the last 6 weeks. And maybe we were tired, I sort of think that playing a 7-game series against Houston and then playing less than 48 hours in Minnesota, and I think Steph played 44 minutes in Houston. You can't discount that. That probably played a role. So what's the lesson there? I don't know if there's a lesson other than win in 6 if you can. But we've got older players, and that's going to be a part of the theme this year, part of the story. Can we keep them healthy? Can we keep them fresh? Can we do that throughout the playoffs? That's probably going to determine, how far we can go.
Steve, Moses kind of morphed into more of a 4 for you guys last year. What do you see his positional role with this roster?
Moses?
Yeah.
Well, I like the versatility of our group. When you have spacing on the perimeter with your bigs, it makes everybody's job a little easier. It makes decision-making easier. In theory, we should be able to limit our turnovers. So as it relates to Moses, if we've got spacing, he's one of those guys spaced. He's going to get a lot of open looks, and that bodes well for him. He's an excellent shooter. One of the things we talked about with him over the summer was being the pick and roll guy, because of what Houston did last year, putting their 5 on him. If you have space 5s, like with Quentin, for example, teams will often do that, put their guard on the 5, put a big on someone who's maybe not used to playing pick and roll. So Moses needs to continue to work on that, get used to playing, a slightly different role depending on what defenses are doing.
You're talking about him as a ball handler?
I'm sorry?
You're talking about him as a ball handler?
I'm talking about him more as a screener.
Okay.
Yeah,
screener.
yeah,
Gotcha,
and then
gotcha.
a screener, a roller, playing out of the pocket, swinging the ball. He's capable of being a ball handler too, and if they put the 5 on him, then we can absolutely do some of that.
Got you. I did want to ask you about your own future. 1 year left on your deal, obviously. Steph, Jimmy, you got a couple. Do you want to be lined up with them? How do you just view kind of your current contract situation?
I'm very comfortable just going into the season with a year left. I'm so aligned with Mike and Joe that we talked about this. There's no reason for discussion, concern. This is kind of a point in our relationship where it's like, let's just see how it is at the end of the year. And I love my job. I love what I'm doing every day, and can't wait to get to the building. And hopefully I'm here for another few years. But I think it makes sense for the organization and for me just to see where this thing is at the end of the year, where they are, where I am, and hopefully that means we run it back and we keep going with this group, and that'd be awesome. But I like the fact that we can just kind of do it how we want to do it.
So you anticipate not even really even having negotiations until the end of
I don't anticipate any negotiation
until the off season.
Yeah, during the season, and you know, who knows? Maybe something. Maybe it all comes up at some point. They come to me, whatever. But I'm not the slightest bit concerned about it. I don't think about it. I just think it makes perfect sense for all of us. I've said this before, I think, but however this ends, it's going to be done in a really quality way. It's going to happen the right way. If it's meant to be for me to keep going, then I'm going to keep going. And if it's meant to be for, you know, the team to move on to somebody else, there will be, you know, nothing but gratitude and appreciation. So this makes it easy for everybody. Let's see where we are at the end of the year.
Steve, Buddy said he's been extremely happy here. Jimmy said the same. Buddy,
yeah.
Buddy and Jimmy. We've heard it from Steph, from Draymond, even Clay and his kooky self. What is your leadership style as far as giving guys a lot of leeway to be who they are, provided when it's game time, they're locked in?
I think that's kind of how we've operated from the beginning. Since I've been here, I believe that players need to have a lot of freedom. They need a little structure to operate together as a unit, both on and off the floor. As long as you give them a little structure and they are committed to the group, to each other, then they can be themselves. And I think that has shown. You know, we take a lot of pride organizationally in being very open. Our guys, you know, they're allowed to do and say whatever they want as individuals, and we trust them to make good decisions. And I find that to be a good, healthy way to operate.
Steve, kind of piggybacking on Danny's earlier question about managing minutes, you know, and older guys. How do you see, I mean, last year you had that stretch where you were playing 12 guys every night. You were kind of committed to that. But you were also very open that wasn't the ideal.
Right.
Do you have any preconceived notions about numbers this year? And obviously, as we've talked about, you don't have the full roster set yet, but are you flexible to go to 12 again? Are you more adamant at keeping it at 9 or 10? What are sort of your thoughts here on September 30th?
I haven't really given that any thought, but last year was very unique. And one of the reasons we started the season playing 12 is we didn't have much separation between, you know, kind of 5 through 12. So we wanted to reward everyone for playing well in camp and also utilize our depth to play fast. And that first month we played as fast as anybody in the league and got off to a great start. But I was under no illusions that would last all season, because it's a hard thing if you're one of those guys to only play for a few minutes and not be able to get a rhythm and all that. So the norm is, you know, you're playing 9 or 10, but we'll have to see how training camp goes.
Hey, Steve. 11th season with the Warriors. Draymond was really reflective about, you know, all the media days he's been at. Are you able to sort of reflect on, you know, your time here, and or are you just more focused on like the season right now?
I'm more focused on the season. You know, I'm really thankful for my opportunity here, my job, the last 11 years living in the Bay. Couldn't have imagined all of this. So, like I said, I love what I do, love where I live, and I'm going to keep doing it. And lucky to coach the group of guys that I've been able to coach. And so I don't spend a whole lot of time reflecting on the last 11 years, but I do embrace the fact that I get to do this every day. I'm very lucky.
What do you want to accomplish this preseason? How do you intend to just, I guess, build out camp? And with 5 preseason games, what are you, I guess, looking to establish in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, kind of the usual, you know, make sure guys have their legs underneath them by opening night and are able to play extended minutes, give everybody an opportunity to play in camp, look at some different combinations, figure out what our rotation might look like on opening night, and implement all the things that we talked about.
And then do you anticipate giving maybe some of the vets, you know, some nights off in the preseason?
Yeah, they'll for sure get one of the games off. We always do that. That also gives the younger guys a chance